My name is Florence and welcome to another video by Kenya Crime Daily.
Welcome back to the channel. So I've got another case for you. So this case happened earlier in the month. So earlier in April, I saw it, but there wasn't a lot of information available. As you know, when these cases break in the media, they hardly have any information. But now we do have some information about the case. So this is a case of, so obviously it is a family case that happened in Murang'a. So it's involving a extended family. So 6 family members that were killed in a suspected arson attack. So 6 family members dead. According to the autopsy report, they died embracing each other. This incident happened on April 9th this year. The government pathologist Johansen Odur has revealed in his report, he said the six people were burnt alive. Odur reported that the family must have died in an agonizing manner as they held onto each other with no chance to escape. The pathologist added that the pain from the burns made them pass out and probably the burning happened after they were long dead. He goes further to state, and I quote, "All had 100% burns. It is the fire that caused their deaths. Analysis of their anatomical presentation after they succumbed indicates that they all burned to death as they writhed in pain. Ordinarily, the pain made them pass out as the burning continued. The process of burning continued minutes after they were dead." End of quote. So we know a little bit more about the victims. So the victims have been identified. So the first victim is obviously the mom, Mary Wangui, 60. Now, I'm not sure if she's 60 or 58 because I've seen varying reports. Sometimes it's reported she's 60. Sometimes it's reported she's 58. But let's just say she's around that age. And her 3 children, Cecilia Gathoni, 30, Lucy Mumbi, 18, and Margaret Wanja, 15. Others who died in the fire were Gathoni's 2 children, Jacqueline Wamboi, 7, and Alvin Kiarie, aged only 3. According to the police, the ill-fated house where the 6 perished had been locked from the outside in a style that suggests a premeditated attack with the aim to cause maximum damage by limiting any chance of escape or rescue. Following the incident, a suspect has been arrested. The suspect was living with the deceased and had moved her belongings from the house before the incident. The suspect, Alice Nyambura, is actually the deceased sister and an auntie and a grandmother to the children that died. Nyambura and her deceased sister were reportedly constantly arguing over land. It's being alleged that the sisters had disputes over family inheritance. The sisters lived together and the fire only caught Wangoi's part of the house while Nyambura's rooms remained intact. A matchstick, containers, and clothes that smelled of petrol were discovered in Nyambura's rooms. Wangoi, the deceased, is from a polygamous family and her mom was the second wife of Doroge Kungu. Doroge Kungu died 22 years ago and family has been squabbling over his vast wealth for some time now. It's also being alleged that Wangoi came back home after divorcing her husband over 20 years ago. Wangoi lived in her parents' house with her 2 daughters, Lucy Mumbi, 18, who had just completed 4th form in March, and Margaret Wanja, 15, who was in Form 1. Her eldest daughter, Cecilia Gathoni, 30, and her 2 children, Jacqueline Wamboi and Alvin Kiarie, lived elsewhere and had only come to visit. They all died in the attack. The house was also home to Wangoi's last-born sister, Alice Nyambura, who is now the suspect. Alice Nyambura was separated from her husband of 4 years. Alice Nyambura was separated from her husband 4 years ago. She lived there with her 2 daughters who are minors, and she is the main suspect in this case. So a little bit more about the Kungu's family. So Kungu's first wife, Alice Wagikuyu, died in 2008 after a cow hit her. His second wife, Rebecca Wambui, the late Miss Wangui's mother, left the home because of the constant squabbles between Wangui and Nyambura. So again, you can tell that these 2 sisters were having squabbles way back in 2008. Kungu had a total of 12 children with his 2 wives. That's not true. Kungu had a total of 20 children with his 2 wives. Kungu worked as transport manager for Del Monte. Del Monte is the fruit processing farm. The family has more than 150 acres of land in Kiambu and Murang'a, more than 20 transport vehicles and tractors, as well as commercial buildings and shares in listed companies. So you can imagine, with this level of wealth, and probably the father died without proper arrangement, it's bound to happen. After Kungu's death, the family started fighting over his wealth, with the 3 main camps emerging. So the 3 main camps were the children, so Kungu's children, their mothers, and their grandchildren. This is very interesting. Can you imagine your grandchild, you're fighting over your grandfather's wealth? This is insane. Anyway, their frequent inheritance feuds often ended up in police stations or the chief's office. According to the police, Wangui and Nyambura shared the 5-bedroom house with a common sitting room, but there was so much enmity between the 2 and, of course, their children. So there are rumors that what really made the situation escalate is that a few days before this happened, the sister Alice Nyambura had lost the phone, and she suspected that one of her nieces, so one of Wangui's daughters, had stolen the phone. So apparently they even went to the chief, they even went to the police, and everybody thought that the matter was sorted, but it wasn't. It was only just brewing. So what's happening so far is that Alice Nyambura is currently being held at Kabati Police Station pending completion of investigations into the case. So as usual, you know, police do not have power to just arrest you without evidence, without proving that you actually done something. So usually their way of doing it is going through the police records and finding if you have ever faulted, then that way they can keep you in. But if you have clean police records, then they must go to court so that the court can allow them to keep you in custody. The main reason for keeping you in custody is so that you don't run away, they don't have, you know, to start looking at you, but also because the community is coming for them. They can't leave you in the community, you're not safe for the community. So in order to keep Alice in custody, they needed to pin her with some sort of concrete evidence, which they had to present to the magistrate. And they did find some containers and clothes that smelled of petrol, as well as some used matchsticks from Nyambura's house. And this made the judge allow them to keep Alice Nyambura for 21 days. So police are obviously still pursuing leads. They're pursuing where the petrol was sourced from, who bought it, and who transported it to the homestead. Police are also pursuing a reported will that the late Kungu had left behind, as well as a succession letter that was apparently drawn between Kungu and the chief.